Have you ever thought about manifesting and how powerful that it can be? Have you got plans and goals that you want to achieve this year and need a little kickstart to get there? Why not listen to the podcast, The Power of Manifesting, the Flip-Flop Family podcast. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Flip-Flop Family podcast. I'm Xylene, and if you listened to our last episode all about hormones with me and my daughter Emiliana, I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you are back for more. We have lots of things to talk about over the coming weeks and I'm just so excited to share it with you. Remember that if you do enjoy the content, it'd be so nice to hear your comments. Just feel free to pop something down on there, or why not follow us on all our socials at the Flip-Flop Family on Instagram, the Flip-Flop Prop and the Flip-Flop Kitchen, all about the yummy food that we try and cook in the house. This week's episode is all about gratitude. You may have heard a lot about that, and some people might think it's a bit airy-fairy, but as I've looked into this further, I've realized that it just gives for a really positive outlook, and being positive only brings positive things. So what is gratitude? Gratitude is the quality of being thankful, about having the readiness to show appreciation for and to return kindness. Before we continue, I'd like to play you this clip.
The source of happiness. Gratitude is the key that unlocks the door to happiness. Sometimes we get so busy that we forget the simple things around us, like a smile, a kind wish, or the care from loved ones. Be grateful for these small things, as they are the foundation of true happiness. Gratitude helps us realize that happiness doesn't lie in grand things, but in simple moments. When you're grateful, life becomes fuller and more meaningful every day.
As you can tell, that wasn't my voice. That was the lovely Denzel Washington. But I loved everything he said in that and how he made that connection between having gratitude and feeling happy. But gratitude is an emotion that goes beyond simply feeling thankful. It captures a deep sense of appreciation, and it reflects an awareness of the opportunities available to us. Research actually shows that cultivating gratitude has mental and physiological benefits, leading to improved overall well-being. Now, we all know that when you pay a bit of kindness forward, it tends to just come back. It's karma, isn't it? I feel like whatever you put out there generally comes back to you. And if you do it in a really pure way, wholeheartedly, I feel like it just makes you feel good anyway. So even if you don't get anything back in return, you're just buzzing off those good vibes and those good feelings. The word gratitude, it's a bit of a funny word, isn't it? It kind of sounds like a name, Gertrude, gratitude. So where does it all come from? It actually comes from the Latin gratus, which means pleasing and thankful. Then it turned to gratitudo from the medieval Latin, and then to gratitude in the English language. The more I say it, the weirder it sounds. Gratitude. Well, there's lots of different types of gratitude. There's personal, which is for what you receive. Then interpersonal, which is towards others, and transpersonal gratitude, which is involving feeling grateful for life or a higher power. And that may be more if you're quite a spiritual person or a religious person, or maybe you just do believe there is a higher power, but you're none of those. I've heard about gratitude a lot, and I'm sure you have too, whether it's on social media or on other podcasts. And I heard about people talking about how they thank things in their life. And the other day, I must admit that when I was in bed and I woke up in the morning, I had a really good sleep. I actually, in my mind, I didn't say it out loud, but in my mind, I was like, thank you to my bed, and thank you for my bedroom, and thank you for my mattress, and for the heating in my house, and for just having a good sleep. And it really made me smile that I was doing this thanking stuff. But at the same time, it made me feel really good, because expressing gratitude and feeling thankful, it can be stuff that you usually take for granted, like your bed, or having a place to live, or food, or water, or your car starting in the morning, or your friends and family. But it's about taking a moment to reflect on how lucky you are when something good happens, whether it is big or small. Last weekend, I went to a really good event for International Women's Day. And it was a whole morning where there was gym classes and there was seminars as well. And I thought to myself, I'm not going to bother with the seminars. There was like a journaling seminar. And I thought, I won't bother with that. But it was actually really good. So it started off with this meditation. You might have heard of it. It's called inner child meditation. And it's a practice that allows you to reconnect with a younger version of yourselves. So you're lying there with your eyes closed, feeling heavy. The mat is kind of almost swallowing you up a bit. You're feeling at ease. And you imagine your 3-4-year-old self. You look at them. You see how innocent, how curious they look, how soft their skin is. You might hold your younger self's hand and talk to your younger self and tell them why you're so proud of them and maybe give them some advice and then give them a really big hug. They often say that your wounded part of your psyche from a child, if you had any of those things going on, can still influence your thoughts and feelings and behaviors today. And that's why this inner child sort of meditation can be really, really helpful, because you create this kind of safe space in your mind where you go back to your childhood memories and you just experience sort of self-love and become more resilient and accepting. And I feel like you need to have that peace in order to really practice gratitude. I am pretty open to things and I really do like a bit of reflection and meditation time, but I never would have thought that something like this would be so helpful. But honestly, if you actually do it, I got quite emotional and I felt like it was really powerful, you know? And then the next part of the seminar was then actually writing it down, like writing a letter to your younger self. The lady asked me to write down, and everybody else, sort of 3 bits of advice that you would give your younger self. So it kind of went on like that. With regards to gratitude, you can actually write a gratitude letter or take it further with a gratitude journal. Because writing that letter, it's such a powerful exercise and it can aid in the building and maintaining of relationships. You can take the time to reflect on a person's kind presence in your life. And it's such an invaluable exercise because it makes you conscious, like to actually sit down at a time where you'll not be disturbed and just write on a piece of paper your thoughts. It just sounds so basic, but it can cultivate such an uplifting and positive mindset. And even when things in life seem difficult, I mean, so many people say write in a diary, and it's so true. If you can take some time to jot a few words down, and we're all so busy. I mean, like I said, I don't do it, but I did it at this meditation event, and just dedicating that bit of time. It was in between the 2 classes. I could have left, but I stayed, and I'm so glad I did, because this practice will ensure that you can appreciate all the good aspects of our lives on a regular basis. In fact, if you have a lot going on in your life, if somebody's sick or you're in between jobs or you've got money worries, or I think it's probably even more important to have gratitude for the smaller things in your life so that you don't feel like you don't have everything that you want, like you're not focusing on the negative things. It takes constant effort and commitment if you're going to do this. But by creating some time, a little time in the morning after your coffee, or maybe as part of your evening routine, you can redirect your focus to what you're thankful for. And I just think it will be liberating. Actually, I'm going to do this with Emiliana and Zach. I'm going to do a gratitude jar, which is kind of a smaller thing to do, but it means that they can easily sort of track the things that make them feel thankful. And each day I'm going to get them to write something and put it in the gratitude jar. Because again, even for children, especially in this day and age, it's so easy for them to dismiss the good things and want more. I want this, I want that, I want to go on this trip, I want those pair of trainers, I want to, go to that club. It's all about what I want and what I need. But think about what you have. Have gratitude for everything you have in your life. And when you write it down, it just takes it that one step further. Because if you think about it, when something isn't good, how big or how small, sometimes we dwell on it. Like today, I went for a swim and I was so gutted. I opened my bag and I'd forgotten my little strap that allows me to have a locker and my water bottle, 2 things, and it really irritated me. And then I went into the pool to go swimming. And I got further irritated that my gym has decided to remove the water fountain from the pool area and put it by the entrance. So all day I couldn't drink any water, And so that irritated me. But then the little things like the fact that there was nobody in my lane swimming today. So I was able to spread out and enjoy my swimming. It's just very momentary, like, oh, that's great. But I find we dwell on the negative things way, way more. So why should we have gratitude? You may be thinking, I'm perfectly fine not having gratitude. I'm living my best life. And that's great. But I think that now it's more important to have gratitude more than ever. And that's because if you really think about it, we live in a time of endless dissatisfaction, of wanting more, of never being content, always wanting the next big thing, and constantly comparing. And that may be down to social media, or it may just be within your peer group amongst your friends, or even in your family, comparing what others have compared to you and wondering why they might have more, or they have something that you want. And we always need things like urgently. We want it and we want it now, that instant gratification. And when we live in a world like this, there is no time for gratitude. And then we can have more of a negative mindset, which is where gratitude comes in. If we have more gratitude, we're likely to have a much more positive outset. It's easy to let the good things slip unnoticed, like I've just mentioned earlier. It's so easy. And you may be someone who feels like you appreciate the good things in your life. Like I've often said, where I've spoken in previous podcasts about my goals in my career, that I'm so thankful and I really appreciate everything I have in my personal life, even though I'm well aware that I want more in my professional life. But even though I think I am a thankful person, the more I look into gratitude, I think I can do better. There's always room for improvement. So here are the 4 A's of gratitude: attention, acknowledgement, appreciation, and action. So we mustn't just look at this as like a checklist, right? I mean, the way I've written it down: attention, acknowledgement, appreciation, action. It's actually a way of being, and it can make life more richer. It can make life feel more richer, more connected. And most importantly, coming back to those things I talked about before, feeling more content. And if you're not used to expressing gratitude, start small, like noticing the joy of that first sip of coffee or tea in the morning, or how the butter melts perfectly on your hot toast that's just popped out of the toaster. Who made that possible? Think about that and have appreciation for it. It all may sound a bit woo-woo, like thanking the toaster, but you may have worked hard to be able to get that toaster. What is it about toasters and the Flip Flop Family podcast? I feel like we talk about toasters or toast or bread in nearly every podcast. This is very strange. Honestly, even if you're not quite sold on this gratitude stuff, I really think you should try it, because it can really give you a sense of overall well-being. By having gratitude, your overall mindset can become more positive, which just attracts good things. You put it out there and it will just come back to you like a boomerang. In a world that constantly demands more and more, gratitude quietly reminds us that sometimes what we have is enough. I was in the pool today and this lady, her name was Anne, she stopped me and asked me if I had a minute, as she wanted some help. She's been scared of the water for 33 years, and eventually, she thinks she must have been 60 something, she decided to try and teach herself how to swim. And I thought that was so commendable, because you know what? No matter how old you are, it's always good to acquire a new skill and to keep your mind active. And she wanted to know whether your arms and your legs moving, whether your arms do more of the work or your legs do more of the work when you swim, and had to really think about it, because when you're on autopilot and you just do something day in, day out, you kind of forget how you do it. So then when I did a length up and down, I sort of thought about it a bit more forensically about how I actually swim. And then when I went back, I tried to tell her and tried to show her, and I ended up spending a bit of time with her, because then she was asking me, oh, can you just have a look at how I swim? And I only had about 20 minutes and I wanted to get in the jacuzzi as well. But in that moment, I could have said, I'm really busy, I'm sorry, I've got to go pick up my kids. I mean, I didn't have to pick them up. I had to get home because Ben had to go to work. But I just thought to myself, I've got to help this woman. She's asked me, it's not long, I can see how she swims and give her some advice. I'm not a swimming instructor, but I've been swimming all my life. So, I'm kind of an expert. And I gave her my time, and it actually felt really good to give her my time. And in that moment, I guess I had gratitude for being able to give her my time. Not everybody has time to give. Maybe I did a few less lengths than I would have liked to have done at the pool because I gave her my bit of time. But again, I just have gratitude, and I'm thankful that I was in a position to give her that, and perhaps made a little impact in her life, in her swimming career. And it made me smile, and that made me feel good, and I'm sure it made her feel good too. She expressed her gratitude and said thank you to me. But who are you thankful for, and how can you show your gratitude? You could simply say it by expressing your gratitude. Things like, I'm so thankful for your support, or I couldn't have done it without you, or I'm very appreciative for your help. Thankfully, my bunch, Ben and the kids, are very appreciative of my cooking, and I like to share all the good stuff on the Flip-Flop Family Kitchen page on Instagram. As you probably know, I've been fasting, and so I'd like to make a bit of a feast in the evening and something to sort of break it with and then have a proper meal later. And this week I made 2-ingredient naans, but stuffed naans, and the ingredients was literally self-raising flour and Greek yogurt. And then I made this really nice potato filling with like coriander and loads of herbs. Check it out on the Flip-Flop Family Kitchen page, and you'll see how to make these 2-ingredient naans, and then you can make whatever you want to fill it. I put cheese and potato, and then I had a bit of leftover mince. I put that in some of them. It shows you exactly how to make it and the ingredients too, so make sure you check it out. My tune of the week is a song by Benson Boone. It's called Beautiful Things, Please Stay. You probably already know it, but if not, have a listen. I hope you enjoy. On to my money saving tip. We were at the cinema at the weekend watching Captain America, and we have our ways of getting free cinema tickets, which I have mentioned to you before, which is via our Vitality life insurance. But if you don't have that and you need 2-for-1 cinema tickets, another really great way to do it is by buying insurance via Compare the Market. You can go on there and you can buy a really cheap insurance, like a super cheap policy that is like less than £10, and you will still get all the benefits of the Compare the Market deals for a whole year. Meerkat Movies gives you 2-for-1 on cinema tickets on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And remember, this podcast is not sponsored. I just love to find ways to save you money. So check that out. I really hope that this podcast has given you a bit of food for thought and perhaps made you feel a little bit grateful and have a bit of gratitude for the small things that you have in your life, or even the bigger things. And I'd like to end on a little quote. If you've forgotten the language of gratitude, you will never be on speaking terms with happiness. I think that's a really powerful end to this podcast, so I'm going to just leave it there. Thank you so much for listening. You've been awesome. I'm Xylene, signing out. Bye. Fancy listening to another episode? Why not check out all about parenting, confidence, promoting healthy eating, self-discipline, or the power of manifesting? And remember, we release 2 episodes every single week on a Monday and a Thursday.